So what do you think is the biggest question in Assassin's Creed? Is it, will the assassins ever truly win? Or maybe, what is Basim up to in the modern day? Or better yet, how did Ezio manage to pull that hot chick in his old age?
Who are you, Messere?
Only the most interesting man in your life.
Okay, jokes aside, the real question is far deeper. What created the mysterious civilization we know as the Isu? Or to put it in another way, who's the divine creator in Assassin's Creed? Sure, the Isu are treated like gods, but that's mostly a nod to the pagan mythologies. What about the idea of an abstract, omniscient, eternal being? Something that knows everything, hears everything, and exists beyond time itself. Does something like that exist in the Assassin's Creed universe? In this video, we'll dive deep into this mystery, and by the end, we'll give you our definitive take on the question. One that actually makes sense in the lore. So buckle up and let's jump in. We all know by now that the Isu were an ancient, hyper-advanced civilization that ruled the earth long before recorded history. In fact, they were the creators of humanity itself. They engineered humans for their own benefit, and to keep them under control, they forged the Pieces of Eden, artifacts that were powerful enough to bend reality and override free will. But when the Isu fell, humans were left with fragments, half-understood memories, myths, and artifacts. As centuries passed, people twisted these remnants into legends. The Isu then became gods, their technology became miracles, and entire religions formed around misunderstandings of their existence. And because of this, many fans assumed the concept of God itself is purely abstract in the Assassin's Creed universe. But that isn't true. Yes, the series showed that many miracles in history were actually caused by the Pieces of Eden. Even Al-Mualim in Assassin's Creed 1 explains that the miracles attributed to Jesus were the effects of an apple of Eden.
This piece of silver cast out Adam and Eve. It turned staves into snakes, parted and closed the Red Sea. Ares used it to start the Trojan War, and with it a poor carpenter turned water into wine.
And naturally, this raises questions about faith, belief, and the divine. But here's the important part. Just because the Isu influenced human religion doesn't mean that there isn't a greater force behind everything. The artifacts may explain some events, but they don't explain everything. And the theory we're about to share with you will definitely make you think twice about what really created the world of Assassin's Creed. Many times throughout the series, the Isu make one thing absolutely clear. They did not create the universe. They weren't gods, but they were simply an advanced species with technology far beyond anything humans could dream of. But does this mean they just appeared out of nowhere? Of course not. They admit they had power, but nowhere near enough to create a literal universe. So the real question becomes, what did the Isu know about their own origins? Well, Assassin's Creed Origins gives us one of the biggest clues. In one of the Isu recordings, certain phrases are intentionally distorted, but when fans reversed the audio, the message became clear.
Are they not fascinating? One of here, one of here. Break the code. Break the node.
They refer to something called the code, and many fans interpret that the code is a metaphor for time itself. And this confirms two massive things. The Isu did not create time, and because of that, they couldn't stop the Great Catastrophe. They understood time better than any species alive, but they couldn't control or manipulate it. Something or someone created this code long before the Isu existed. And this leads to a powerful theory. The Isu were aware of a higher being, something that created the code and controls the laws of the universe. And our next clue comes from Assassin's Creed Valhalla. The game introduces a strange, timeless dimension known as the Grey, a place that exists beyond time and space, is limitless, eternal, and completely outside the universe as we know it. Interestingly enough, this is where Desmond, Layla, and even Basim all ended up after their supposed deaths. And inside the Grey, Layla meets a mysterious entity known as the Reader, a being who observes timelines, calculates outcomes, and tries to prevent universal destruction. This tells us something huge. The Isu found the code, they even learned how to use it, just not how to control it. That's why they could see future events but couldn't stop them. But it gets even deeper. The Isu often say, "We are not the first and we will not be the last." This statement again confirms two things. They knew that they weren't supreme beings of the universe and that they believed a race existed before them, and we'll talk about that later on in the video. Even more interesting is the fact that they couldn't explain consciousness. They didn't know where it came from. They followed the same basic laws every life form follows. They are born, they age, and they die. They are not immortal. So when you combine these clues, a picture starts to form. The Isu were aware of a higher being, they may have even been searching for it, but before they could discover it, they were wiped out. And here's a personal interpretation that fits frighteningly well. In mythology and fiction, whenever a species gets too close to uncovering a truth they were not meant to discover, calamity strikes. Maybe the Isu came dangerously close to understanding the true creator of the universe. And that's exactly when the catastrophe hit. And that leads us to the final haunting question. If they were using the resources created by someone, then who was the one who created those resources? How did the universe form without someone or something behind it? A question even the Isu couldn't answer. This ties perfectly into our next theory. In Assassin's Creed Valhalla Dawn of Ragnarok, we hear about an elven artifact, so ancient and complex that even the Isu couldn't understand it. The Isu, who are older than civilization itself, found an artifact they called ancient? This implies two things. A species existed long before the Isu, possibly millions or billions of years earlier. This race might have been wiped out by the Isu or perhaps by something else entirely. Darby McDevitt, the narrative director, later said that these elves were meant to reference creators, but were instead part of the same species family. But that still raises a question. If multiple species of the same template existed, who created that template? And this is where Assassin's Creed Mirage helps. You've probably seen the Cthulhu Easter egg, the pendant with the octopus symbol and the insane man chanting names. Yes, that one. Those names aren't random. They're all tied to H.P. Lovecraft's cosmic entities, ancient beings from outside time and reality. According to Lovecraft's mythos, these beings existed before time, space, and matter. Their existence alone breaks sanity and warps reality. And in Mirage, the symbolism is obvious. The pendant glows, it's tied to a lost book, and the insane man references multi-dimensional being. All of it hints toward a terrifying idea. These cosmic beings might be the ones who created the Assassin's Creed universe. Even the Isu couldn't understand them, and that explains why some artifacts felt incomprehensible and why concepts like time, consciousness, and reality were beyond Isu control. This theory is pretty basic, but worth mentioning briefly. It suggests that, like humans, the Isu simply evolved naturally. The same story the Templars tell humans in the lore. If the Isu had truly evolved, they wouldn't be so obsessed with being the first or the last. And it completely ignores the existence of the ancient elves and other pre-Isu races. So in our opinion, it just doesn't make any sense. Now that we've explored the theories, it's time for the most interesting part of the video. Our definitive answer backed by lore. If we leave the evolution theory aside, we're left with the first two possibilities. And here's what we believe. The Isu were aware of a being beyond creation, a force that existed before everything, a presence that knew all, saw all, and set the rules of life and death. In the Asa universe, humans worshipped the Isu as gods, and something similar likely happened with this divine being. Just like in real life, every religion believes in a single creator, but the name, form, or interpretation changes and the core concept remains the same. There may be different gods, but the core creator remains the same. We think that the Isu discovered hints of this divine being and tried to learn more. They even uncovered knowledge they could use, yet even then they admitted there were things that they couldn't fully understand. And then, before they could make any more progress, they were wiped out. The survivors eventually passed down fragments of this knowledge to humans, and this is how the concept of God was born in the Assassin's Creed universe. As different cultures emerged, each developed its own religion, but the core idea of a single eternal creator remained, whether it's the Cthulhu or any other being. And to be clear, we're speaking strictly about the Assassin's Creed franchise, not the real world. Either way, what do you think? Let us know for sure in the comment section below, and if you like this video, then make sure to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe for more. We'll see you in the next one. Till then, take care and goodbye.